All right, so if you got your Bible, you can turn to Genesis 25. We're still staying in this series, the Walking with God series. And we talked about Abraham. That's what we've been on for the last several weeks. Everybody else's stories get a little bit shorter. So Isaac, Abraham's son, his story is real short. So we're not even really going to touch on him. We're going to jump right to Jacob and Esau, which are Isaac's sons. They're twins. They're born, and Esau's the firstborn. Even though they're twins, they're still the firstborn, right? Esau comes out. Jacob is clutching the heel of Esau when they come out. So Esau's the firstborn. Jacob's the second. I'm going to just read. I'm going to start in chapter... Actually, before I go there... almost lost it. Before I go there. Esau and Jacob, it was prophesied to their mom, Rebekah, right? That they were going to be at odds with each other. That was already up front. That was a given. So this is kind of the story of where that starts. And I know we're talking about walking with God and the faith aspect. Jacob and Esau, they're young guys at this point. They're not doing it so hot. They're not doing it so well. So take courage, because we get to learn from other people's mistakes here, right? So really, we're going to just read about kind of their mistakes. So if you got your Bible, turn to chapter 25. We're going to start in verse 27. As the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter. He was an outdoorsman, but Jacob had a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home. Isaac loved Esau. That's the father. Of course, he likes the boy that's out there doing all the hunting and the manly man stuff, right? Isaac loved Esau because he enjoyed eating the wild game Esau brought home. But Rebekah loved Jacob. Why? Because, well, he's the one around. He's the one around the house. So they got favoritism. So side note, for those of you that had kids, those of you that want kids, don't do favoritism. It screws your kids all up. Okay, that's for free. Now, on to the next point. One day, Jacob was cooking some stew. Esau arrived home from the wilderness exhausted and hungry. Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew." This is how Esau got his other name, Edom, which means red. "All right," Jacob replied, "but trade me your rights as the firstborn son." Now, just a little explanation what that means when he says, "Sell me your rights as the firstborn son." Back in those days, the inheritance that was given from the father was given to the sons. The firstborn always got a double portion. That was the birthright. You got a double portion. So he's basically saying, let me have a double portion of daddy's inheritance for this red stew. Pretty expensive pot, right? Not pot. Back to the Bible. All right, Jacob said, "but trade me your rights as a firstborn son." "Look, I'm dying of starvation," said Esau. "What good is my birthright to me now?" But Jacob said, "First you must swear that your birthright is mine." So Esau swore an oath, thereby selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate the meal, then got up and left. He showed contempt for his rights as the firstborn. So he just ate the stew, wiped his mouth, got up and left like nothing ever happened. So who's jacked up in this story, Esau or Jacob? Both. Thank you. They are both jacked up. They are both jacked up in this situation, right? Esau, let's start with him first, because this is kind of the obvious one. He sold his birthright for a pot of stew. You might, chaps, what does that have to do with me? How can I relate this to my life at all? There are things that God gives us in this life that are valuable, and we treat them as cheap. We treat it as cheap. How do we do this? For instance, our character, right? The Bible talks about your reputation. Your reputation is more valuable than gold and rubies and all that, right? But how do we do it? Sometimes we'll just tell a lie to escape a little something. It's like that stew. That stew. We traded it for stew. We traded our character. We just gave up our integrity, something very valuable, for something very here and gone. What, somebody's favor? I'm not going to tell the truth because now this person doesn't like me. This person is going to like me or not like me based on whatever. It's going to go like this. Forget about it. Right? So we can do that. We can sell that. Another thing, talking about sleeping around. I'm just going to say it. Sleeping around. It's part of who you are. It's never just a physical thing. Right? I mean, once you start sleeping around, you're giving yourself, like God said, you're valuable. God said you're valuable. And then you're just giving yourself over to somebody else who then might wipe their mouth when they're done and get up from the stew and just leave. And it's not even sacred. It's not even special. And then you go on and you meet that person that God has for you, and you really want to be with them, and all that other stuff that went on, you regret it. You're like, man, now that I'm with this person that I really love being with, all that cheap stuff, it's like, now it's just a plague in my mind or in my heart or on my body. Hopefully not. But you get what I'm saying. It's the stuff that we treat as cheap when God said it's valuable. That's how we could be like Esau. And so you don't want to do that, right? So now flip over to the other side of the story. Jacob. Where was he jacked up? Jacob, he exploited somebody else's weakness to elevate himself. That's jacked up. That's jacked up, right? How do we do that? I got some examples because I've been thinking about it. Right? One way that we do that, you might see somebody you work with and maybe a peer, maybe even somebody under you. They're kind of hot stuff. They're getting a lot of attention. But you know they don't know something. And you see that they're getting ready to make a mistake. But you just let them do it. Why? Because you want them to look bad. Why do you want them to look bad? So that you look good. Right? I mean, you see how that plays out. It's like, oh, he's going to jack it up and I'm going to let him. Why? Because then I'll look good. What are we doing? We're exploiting somebody else's weakness for our benefit, for our gain. Right? So, I mean, any kind of scenario that you could think of is probably going to have these two at work. You're going to have one person who might be treating something valuable, like themselves, their own self-worth, or anything, you fill in the blank, as cheap. And then you have somebody else who will see that weakness and then exploit it for their own gain. Now, why is it jacked up? I mean, how many of you know that verse, God helps those who help themselves? Yeah, it's not in the Bible. That's not in the Bible. That's in the, maybe that's in the Marine Corps Bible. I don't know, but that's not in the actual Bible. God helps those who help themselves. No. This is the thing. There's a point where we're supposed to be responsible, right? We're supposed to take initiative. We're supposed to do those things. That's being professional. That's being a good steward. That's being responsible. All that's good. But when it's at the expense of somebody else, that's when we got an issue. What's the opposite of that? I'll tell you. I know, calm down everybody. I know you all want to give me an answer, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. The opposite of that is when you're trusting God to take care of you. When you're trusting God to take care of you. Now it's like, okay, well, chaps, and what? I just throw my hands up and I don't have to do anything. God's going to take care of it. No, you still got to be responsible. You still got to take initiative and do your part. But the moment that you start exploiting somebody else to take care of yourself, now you're not acting in love. Now you're going against what God's doing. And so then that blessing is something that you're robbing, not something that God's given to you. Does it make sense? If you're robbing it, God's not giving it to you. You got to trust that God's going to give it to you. This is the thing. God takes care of us. God takes care of you. If you're looking out for yourself, Well, let me put it this way. What's the opposite? If the thing that we're talking about that's wrong here is that he's pushing somebody down in order to elevate himself, if that's the wrong thing that's going on, what's the opposite of that? Right? Getting underneath somebody and lifting them up. That's what leadership is. Right? You're getting underneath them and you're elevating them. You're saying, I'm going to elevate you. I'm going to make you better at your job. I'm going to make you look better. I'm going to set you up for success. And I'm going to give of myself in order to do that. That's the opposite, right? Getting underneath somebody, lifting them up. When we do that, you might think, well, then who's going to look out for number one? Who's going to look out for me? God's going to look out for you. God's going to look out for you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you, right? It's like he's going to take care of you. You just be obedient to what he's doing in your life. When you're obedient to what he's doing in your life, you can rest assured that he's going to protect you. He's going to take care of you. He's going to do his part. So you don't have to carry that on your own shoulders, that you got to make yourself successful. This is something in the military, we deal with this a lot. So I got, well, how do I make this a short story? I'll make it short. I got back from deployment. My CO had got relieved. And they canked all the personal awards for everybody on the deployment because the CO would have been the one to sign them. So every personal award got canked. And right after that, I left that command. And so I didn't get an end of tour. I didn't get nothing. I moved completely away from that command. I go to my next place. I'm there. I've been working there for a couple years. And I got no personal awards, and I'm coming up for promotion. And I don't got a single personal award on me. And it's not because I wasn't doing anything. It's just I didn't have any, just due to circumstance. And so I was like, God, should I do something? You know, I wasn't planning on exploiting anybody, but I was just like, should I start working this from my end and taking care of myself? I just felt like I was saying, no, you just be obedient to what I'm telling you to do. You do your job and let me take care of promotion if you get promoted or not. I was like, okay, guys. So I go, I'm doing my business. They had an entire, I was at a training command. So, we had thousands of sailors and Marines there. They were there getting training. And I was so busy, I was doing counseling during the all hands because that was the only time. Everything else was booked. So had an emergency situation. I was like, I'll see him here. So I was over there talking to this person. Somebody comes in. They're like, chaps, Master Chief needs you over at the hangar bay. I was like, well, I'm kind of in the middle of something here. I'm busy. Tell him out. He said, well, he's got everybody standing at attention waiting for you. I was like, what? So I was like, please, hold on one second. I go over there. The entire hangar bay is at attention waiting. Come up on the spot NAM, just like that. I didn't even know what it was for. I went out. I was like, Master Chief, what was that about? He said, chaps, I know what you do around here. He said, it ain't right. We got some students walking around with more candy on their chest than you. I was like, thanks, Master Chief. So that happened, and then right after that, end the tour, and since I had that NAM, they gave me a comm when I left. I was like, I went from literally a couple weeks ago having no personal awards, now I got a NAM and a comm right before my package went to the board. I was like, okay, God, I get it. You're going to take care of me. You just want me to be faithful and just do my job. If I would start exploiting other people, this is the thing, there's a, like with Esau, going back to Esau, when you sell something valuable for something cheap, you might get a little bit of satisfaction. Or sorry, no, back that up. You get a little bit of pleasure, but you don't have satisfaction. That stew was gone in a matter of minutes. He wiped his face, he was gone, right? Guess what happened a couple hours later? He was hungry. I guarantee you. He was hungry again. And now he's got no birthright. That's how this law works. Pleasure is not satisfying. It's this never-ending pit that you won't be able to fill up, so you chase it and chase it and chase it. You're like, yeah, I got to get pleasure and pleasure and pleasure, and you're never satisfied. That's the law of Esau in effect right there. Chasing pleasure, selling everything valuable, and never being satisfied. And he's so dramatic about it too. He's like, what does he say here? He says, what good is my birthright now? He said, look, I'm dying of starvation. So dramatic. I'm dying of starvation. he was not going to die, right? Some of us, though, we're like that too. No, if I don't get this, I'm going to die. Like, this is so serious. And then you go and you got this little pleasure that you sell your birthright for. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on it, but the opposite of that one, right? Will you help me out? What would be the opposite of what Esau was doing? If he was selling what was valuable for what was cheap, what would be the opposite? Okay, let me spell it out. Protecting what's valuable for the sake of what's cheap, regardless of whatever the cheap thing is that you want, protecting what's valuable. And this is going to sound like a protect what you earn. It's a little different, but not. I guess it's in the same vein, right? It's in the same vein. Protect what you earn, but there's something that you have that you didn't earn. It's all that stuff that God gave you. When God says something is valuable, it's valuable, and you might not even understand why. Like, why am I supposed to save myself for my wife? Why am I supposed to save myself for my husband? Like, why is that even important? I don't get it. You might not get it. I don't think Esau understood the birthright. I mean, the fact that he's getting ready to lose his birthright. He didn't even know how much that's going to be worth. Dad's not even close to dead yet, right? But he sold it anyway. And some of us, I think that's what we do. We don't even understand the value of what we give up. We don't even understand the value. It's like, what? It's not a big deal. It's just this. Let me tell you, if God says it's valuable, hang on to that. Protect it. Guard it. Guard it. And you might not understand why. That's when Proverbs 3 comes in, right? Trust in the Lord. Don't depend on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your steps. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding. Even if you don't understand why God says do the things that He says, I guarantee you it's for your benefit. He wants you to be able to keep all the valuable things that He's given you. So let's not be like Esau and sell it for cheap. Let's not be like Jacob and put others down so that we can elevate ourselves. On the contrary, let's protect what is valuable, even if we don't understand why it's valuable. And 2, let us lift other people up, even if it means getting down low. Lift others up. All right? So that's kind of the nuggets that you pull out of this part of the story, Esau and Jacob. Any questions? No? All right, you can kill the video, but...